to another episode of That's the Thing, Accent Core plus R. It is episode 0.89?
0.85.
0.85. I'm way off today.
That's fine.
And it's
It'll be
sometime in
someday.
the it's sometime in the week of August the 29th.
Yeah. It'll
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate your listening.
Yeah, I do. I care. It makes my pretend radio show feel better.
Yep.
I watched Prey, so
It's good.
I want to give my thoughts to it overall. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked it. My big complaint, I do have one complaint, and it sounds a little schlocky coming from me, but like I would say minor spoilers. Post Fur Trapper camp, I think the movie gets a little too schlocky, like a little too like action movie, if that makes sense. Because like the fur I know it's a movie about an alien coming to hunt people, like I get it. But like the first like chunk of that movie was so deliberate and kind of real that I kind of wished that like the final confrontation with Predator was like a little bit more subdued, if that makes sense.
So I get what you're saying, and you're almost saying it's the opposite of the first movie.
Yeah. Well, that's what I liked about it. Like but what I really liked about it is that it was very different than the first movie, and I kind of wish it kind of kept that going.
So I don't think that's I don't think it's to that level of intention that they would like turn it like start it out as like this very suspenseful thing and then turn it into a schlocky action movie. I don't think that's an intentional flip of the first movie. Well, but it also does line up with them naming it Prey.
Yeah, because
it's like no, but it's the opposite.
Yeah, because to me, like Predator turns from like a schlocky action movie into like a schlocky monster movie, and this movie was more like a serious kind of like Native American realistic like movie for like because and what I mean realistic, I mean there's always going to be like liberties taken with the movie, but for instance, like when she made the rope for her axe. Like you saw her cut the tree bark and then braid it and then tie it and then practice it. Like that deliberateness that makes you feel like the realism.
So I don't like that she apparently made that in a vacuum. I don't like that wasn't already something like in her tribe. That kind of annoyed me.
I was okay with it because it shows that she was thinking about stuff. But what I'm trying to go for is that like when you're that deliberate, and then at the end, like the predator takes an obscene amount of damage, I would say.
Yeah, it does, and it should.
But I kind of feel like this is minor complaints, if that makes sense. Like this is not.
No, it's exactly. This is like when we're outside after The Force Awakens, just complaining about the movie because it was fine otherwise.
Yeah, like this is me talking about like Psycho Gorman, where I'm like nitpicking things because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like still, like I think I like Predators better because it's dumber. But I think this one is like a better movie.
Predators to me loses it around the Lawrence Fishburne part.
Yeah, but it does have a Yakuza having a sword fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's really only the Lawrence Fishburne part. I'm fine with the rest of that movie. Like, it picks back up after that part. It's just during that part, I'm kind of like, meh.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But overall, good. I don't want like a sequel to this Prey. But I would like to see like, all right, Predator shows up in another time and like place, and how would that go down?
Yeah, like I definitely think they're correct on how they handle the Predator films, as opposed to like Alien, where they just keep having Ripley over and over.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I definitely think Predator being an anthology style film series where it's always a different hunt, a different predator is the way to go.
Like I would love to see either World War One or World War Two Predator. I think that would be a cool.
That's always a good setting.
Specifically, especially if it wasn't in like Europe. Like I want to see like the North Africa, like World War Two, and then the Predator shows up. It's like, here we go.
So okay, have you seen Das Boot? Das Boot?
I have not.
So that movie has a thing where you're like watching it and like you're getting invested in all the characters, and then like as bad stuff keeps happening, it's like, oh no, it's like these are Nazis. Who cares? So like I want that same thing of like you're watching Predator hunt this like troop of Nazis and you're like, oh, I'm so scared for the characters. Like, wait, no, I'm not. Go Predator.
Yeah, see,
go Predator.
That's why I'm thinking like maybe World War One, because that makes me remember the movie Overlord, which I did enjoy, which was like World War II movie, and then it just turns into a zombie film like halfway through, and then it turns back into a World War II movie. Or like, is it? I really like, because it's like, okay, gang, we got to go stop this like this Nazi like radio tower, and then on the way they found the Nazi zombie experiments. But then they still got to stop that tower because, like, Normandy's going on. So it's like, no, the World War II is still happening. We got to stop them.
Yeah.
Now we just got to double stop them.
Yep. Now we got, like, a lot more problems.
Yeah. And I would love to see, like, yeah, that or just any other like, put it different times. Yeah, I think that's a cool way to do Predator.
Yeah. I also, okay, so I was thinking about this as I was watching Prey of, do you think that this is just like 200 years ago and therefore Predator technology is not as advanced as it is in the later movies? Or my working thought is this is like a tier whatever world, which means like these are the only things you can honorably take with you to hunt.
That was my thought. You
can't take the laser cannon. You can't take the laser cannon to 1700s Earth. That's not fair.
No, that's nothing. I 100% agree, and my reasoning is that whenever you see Predator, whenever it's like, so like, whatever spoiler. This is like minor spoilers, but like whenever it's watching like the wolf hunt the rabbit, like you see it look, and then it just uses like the claw. Like it doesn't use like the grenades or like the net. It's just like, okay, wolf. Claw, got it. It's like a big animal. I'm gonna use this. The humans show up. I use like it used the arrows against them, and then when the muskets came out, it used like the nets and like the spinny grenades and stuff. So it's kind of like it. To me, it scales up depending on what the hunt has.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agree.
That's why whenever an AVP, when they're going against the alien, it's like, all right, max armor. Just put it all on. Those things are messed up. And they are correct, because the aliens are messed up. But yeah, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
What you talked about Berserk. What do you want to talk about, old Berserk? Old guts.
So I've never read or watched Berserk before. It's just one of those of like, here lately, I've done a lot of like, like everyone has their queue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone in our type of humanity has their queue. I've been informed that people like my fiance and her friends don't have queues, and I don't believe them. But
if you don't have
I have evidence,
you have a queue whether you know it or not, because you have cultural blind spots. It doesn't matter. Like for one of mine is it's like I need to watch The Godfather at some point. I have not seen
which one.
Both.
There's 3 of them, Kevin.
Okay, well, like the 1 and 2.
The good ones.
Yeah, like I've not seen it. I need to at some point see that movie.
But anyway, so like here lately, I've just been kind of like, I have things in the queue, and most of them are like whatever. What if I just went to the good parts of it and did those instead?
There you go. skip
And
past
so,
watching the Beyblade Burst cartoon and go to something
yeah,
real.
yeah, exactly. And so I've read like just over 100 chapters of Berserk this week. And man, I, okay, I think it starts out not so great. The art is pretty much good the whole way through, but you can definitely see not just his drawing ability gets like better, and it gets better in like I think subtle ways.
Well, yeah,
Cause like he still has some troubles with like a funky looking eye here and there that's like not where it should be. But also his paneling gets a lot better, I think, is like what really does it.
I mean, it's the golden arc or whatever is where to me like the the first bit, the Black Swordsman or whatever, where it's just Guts doing Guts stuff like before the golden age or whatever. Like to me, that's like the
Is
prototype.
the Golden Age the like dark era?
The golden age is where he's with Griffith and Casca
Okay.
and stuff like in
That's the gold. Okay.
yeah like before the Beylit.
Okay. That's the Golden Age? Okay.
Yeah, because that's where everything was quote unquote good.
Yeah.
And then it gets real
Uh,
bad.
yep, and then it gets real bad, real fast. But yeah, so I like I like how long he spends in the Golden Age just to build up to like and then it all goes to hell.
And it goes real bad. Oh, it gets
Yep.
it's as bad as it can be. And you get to
Yep.
see all like the train wreck oncoming. You're like, oh, this isn't gonna go well.
Yep.
Oh, that Griffith! I can see where your personality problems could be magnified untold amounts if something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. Berserk is good.
Yeah, I know Nolan really likes it, so I don't want to go too much into it without him.
I like Berserk. It's been a while since
Yeah.
I've like read it like a lot. Like this is like I think that was like back in the day when I was reading like bad scans of JoJo.
Yeah.
Like and then it was like Berserk like in the long ago of the scanlations. Like that's when I was reading like Berserk.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I probably should
Yep.
put it back on the menu.
Yep. But so I did that, and then
Are you
I've been
pro
reading
puck? Are you pro puck or anti puck?
I think I'm pro Puck.
I am pro puck.
Like he's just now like in the final battle against the Moth Demon.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have that much Puck experience. But
I
I think overall I'm pro Puck.
I like Puck because he's like a silly and lighthearted character in like the worst possible place.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, oh no, he's trying. He doesn't work too much, but he's trying. He's like, oh.
He's like, he's in the wrong manga.
Yeah, that's why I like Puck. Puck is like in like a happy fantasy manga, and then like he's looking over there, it's like, oh no. Oh, okay. I thought this was happy times, but we are in the Chimera.
This was happy times, but not no more.
Puck is wandering in to the Chimera Ant arc, and it's like, uh-oh.
What is it? What's like? What do they change the line to in Hunter x Hunter? It's like we can smile again, but that's not what they say in the Chimera Ant arc.
Oh, I know. I forget. I remember one of the translations or something when Netero blows himself up. It's like in the anime they made it say like you'll never understand humanity's endless capability for evolution, when like in the Japanese it was humanity's never-ending capability for cruelty. I always like that one better because it's like, nah, the whole point is you technically won, but nah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, like in the terms of a beast, you won. You should have won, but a man would not accept that, and that's why you will always lose. I was like, oh man, that's dark. I love it. That's a good picture you posted.
Yep,
That's.
Kevin talked pre-show. Kevin talked a little bit about his Friday Night Magic
Yeah, I mean, I
experience.
can talk a little bit about it. I went to Friday Night Magic. It was fun. I played some Commander. I had a good
Did you
time.
win?
No, I got knocked
Are you
out.
winning, son?
No, but it was fun. It was kind of fun because what happens is in Commander, like it's 4 player, and one person will start doing too good, so the rest of the table turns their attention toward them. So it's kind of like one guy had put like some good stuff on the table, so we're like, all right, you're the enemy, we have to take it out, and then we went for him for a bit, and then another guy, while that was happening, was like gradually building up his thing, and then he became the guy, so then we had to like turn away and attack him, and then I became the guy, and then I was eliminated. It's that kind of deal.
Yeah, you're rusty at it. It's been too long.
Well, yeah. Well, it's also like my cards are not to the tier of what's going on,
Yeah, yeah.
which is fine. I did enter. I think it's like it'll be this week. It's like a pre-release thing, so I'll do that and do one of those. But then
What's
I'll,
that's coming out? Dominaria.
yeah, it's Dominaria United. It looks to be a really good set. It looks interesting. There's a lot of interesting like there's some legendary creatures, some stuff's getting tribes. There's some weird stuff for like Commander. I think
So, talking about Dominaria. Sorry
yeah, go
to
for it.
cut
No,
you
that's
off.
fine. This was
Wrong. So Seb has been posting like his basic land cycle that he got to do for Dominaria United,
yeah.
and I was, inc- I was like, hey, can you like post the prompt that you got for this piece? That it was my gangbuster tweet for quite a while now. Uh, but someone tried to quote tweet that as like, I don't know, trying to say like proof that he used AI generated art for his piece.
Oh
I'm like, that is not the prompt that is meant here, my friend.
no, it's because they always give a prompt.
Yeah, like the art
The
director
art
gives the
gives them a
artist
prompt.
a prompt. And I'm just like, how very, but how stupid is this subset of people like who are pro AI generated art?
One of the
Ugh.
things that I've seen from being tangentially following people in Magic the Gathering Twitter is do not follow Magic the Gathering Twitter. It is a nasty place. Also, there's some controversy with old Seb McKinnon. Some people don't like him at all because he went to like one of that like he went to one of those like Canadian trucker convoy things when they were doing like the Vax mandate or something. And
Mm.
there's like in like he didn't. It's one of those where like he didn't officially say anything like controversial, but by showing up there, people are like, I don't know.
See, I was wondering because in that same like um thread where someone like quote tweeted that, someone said like, well, you know that artist has controversies around him anyway. And I was like, really?
Yeah,
Why?
that's the controversy. But it's like do it's one of those where it's like not confirmed, slightly dubious. But some
Yeah.
people will because it's the internet go off on the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like I don't know. I think it's the equivalent where like you showed up to a thing and then a bunch of bad people also showed up to a thing. And it's like, and you didn't explicitly say you were, but
Listen,
it's a little sus.
his Twitter feed is only his art,
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, then I would not be following him.
I would describe it as similarly to like maybe I will say the Chris Pratt effect, where
Yeah, where
people are
his church is really suspect, but he keeps
yeah
going to
yeah
that church.
like he has no dirt on him, but there's a
Yeah.
bit of there's a as the kids would say there's a little sus, there's a little Among Us sus there, and you're like. Did you see that thing where J.K. Rowling's book that she wrote? I saw on Twitter the plot of it.
No, I have not.
Oh man. So her new book, tell me if you haven't heard this before, it's a thriller about a popular children's book author who gets harassed for her views online. That's her next great book.
You are lying.
I am not lying.
There is no way. You are lying.
That is real. That is 100% real.
Oh my god.
I'm okay. It's called all right. The Ink Black Heart. I'm posting it.
On that note, do you know who like the final villain is in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I do not.
So, if you don't know, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen tries to incorporate like all of fiction into its, well, I should say like all of Western fiction into its canon. Like all of it.
Okay.
The last villain of the series is a devil-possessed Harry Potter.
Hell yeah. I love it. All right. I posted the link to the Telegraph review in the thing. So I hope Nolan's okay. But yeah. Her new thriller sees a female celebrity hounded by self-righteous children's fantasy fans.
Oh my god. Well, Kevin, it's like they say, write what you know.
Write what you know.
Old JK don't have much to draw on.
Yeah. I think that's hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fascinating when you get these people where they have enough like fame and clout, but it's just not enough. Just not enough. Like they need more.
But it's not enough, but also it's like, how dare they challenge me? How dare they? J.K. Rowling's gonna be like the next Ayn Rand.
Probably.
Have you ever read an Ayn Rand book?
I have not.
I started Atlas Shrugged once, and like it is such a fucking like wow, all the likable characters are like emitting these like well-reasoned, sensible arguments about why this is how the world should be, and all the like dumb, stupid characters are dumb and stupid and disagree with me, the author.
I am very smart.
Yep. So I can't wait for the racist caricatures to be like trans rights, and then the well sentient, like beautiful people to be like, men have a penis.
Harrison Bergeron shows up. And he removes the mask and says, "Hi, I'm cisgendered," as he elevates in the sky.
Yep.
Oh, good old Harrison Bergeron.
I like Harrison Bergeron.
Yeah, there's some I have one of my like things I tell myself I'm going to do before I watch more Beyblade and Magic the Gathering videos is like I want to like read and watch more like classical literature. Like one of them was because there was an episode of Leave It to Beaver where he had to do a book report on like I think it was the Three Musketeers. And instead he watched like the video of like the Three Stooges Musketeers and he did that as his book report and it just failed instantly.
Hell yeah.
Because he gets up there and he goes, well, it all started at the pie fight. And it's just like, no. I was like, oh, that's
It,
good.
there's a Freaks and Geeks has like an episode where the kids get assigned Crime and Punishment to read, and they're like in ninth grade. I'm like, what the hell? This is like cruelty to these students. Dostoevsky does not mess about. Like, it is just hard prose to get through. And they're all these weird Russian names.
Yeah, there you
Extra
go.
hard.
No, that's the Dante must die book report. How many AR points do you think Crime and Punishment's gonna be?
35.
I was gonna say like 15. You're gonna have to read it a couple of goosebumps to fill out your goal.
Have I ever told you the tragedy of fifth grade Drew Edwards' AR career?
I think we've talked about it, but I always love talking about AR. It's one of our evergreens.
For truth, if it is not like an Icarus flying too close to the sun, of like genius being so closely achieved and then like just not quite landing. So I learned in fifth grade towards like, I think it was the fall, like the second semester, like just before like winter break. I learned books can be recycled from the previous year.
Oh.
Right? That is astounding knowledge, and in a smarter person's hands, a deadly weapon. I did 4 Harry Potter books in one semester. So then next semester, I had to get 90 AR points.
Oh no!
An insurmountable number. And it was like, oh no.
It's the it's you're right, it's like Icarus, but it's also like, if you want to go into like the quiet quitting or whatever, it's the first lesson of, if you do what is over expected of you, then it becomes expected. Like, if you go beyond then that becomes the new norm or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It, like, to me is showing I was kind of a smart kid, but not smart enough.
Oh, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
I think that's a lesson where you're the humbling of how smart. Because like, I remember I thought I was like a genius. I thought I was like the smartest kid that has ever been, and I can't remember. Like, I know there was a point where that changed, where I was like, hold on, this is not true. We are not, like, we're like, because you're in the class and you're like, I'm clearly not one of the dumb kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not eating dirt or
Yep.
glue, so I'm like, I'm not a dumb kid. But then you go, okay, so I guess I must be one of the smart kids. I'm getting like A's on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when my average went from like straight A's to then like B's started showing up, and I was like, oh, maybe maybe I'm not the smart kid anymore.
It's when you hit that point in like school where the smart kids then start studying and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, but no, I was getting A's by coasting. You tell me I have
Oh,
to start
man,
working for things now?
That messed me up so bad when it was like, because the only thing I would ever have to like study and memorize was spelling test. I would
Mm-hmm.
like, I think also like, it was spelling test and multiplication tables, like rote memorization. I would have to like work on, but I would never like history, science, like I never like studied.
Yeah, I know. I just did the homework and it's fine.
Yeah. And sometimes I would just do the homework like right before class.
Yep.
And I'd be like, yeah, I did it. It's fine. I think it was like the big point where I realized I wasn't smart, I think was like, It was
8th grade algebra.
it it wasn't. It was like calculus or trig. I might have been trigonometry. Like algebra, I was still trucking. But it was like starting to get a little difficult, but I was still trucking, and then it got to like hard. I'm like, uh oh.
Hmm.
I was like, uh oh. English
I
English was like never good, but I felt like I got the ability where I could always write a B level report fairly
so
effortlessly. So I was like, that's fine.
so like I maintained all my other subjects. Math is where like it really fell apart. I remember like I, again, if I was smarter, I would have just not taken the honors math classes and it would have been fine. But no. And I remember being in trig and we got personal graphing calculators banned for the
Ooh,
whole school after my grade. I was
that's
like, so
nice.
if you're unfamiliar with trig, there's all those like things you need for proofs where it's like 1 equals the sine of this plus the cosine of this, and there's
Yeah.
like 13 or 16. There's a lot of them, and so like someone just programmed them all into their calculator, and then we just shared them across the class because it's like, oh, this is great, this is fantastic.
I thought those things were
And then
banned
the
because people were just using them as Game Boys.
well, yeah, no, but this was like for tests, you were still allowed to use your own personal one. And then the teacher found out about this thing after a test, and she collected all the calculators to see who did and did not have
The
this
program.
program. And even then, the program didn't run it for you, it just listed them all. So you didn't have to memorize
Oh
them.
man, that's sick.
And so, like, I remember it being like she failed everyone who had it on her test, and I just remember being like, I already failed this test. You like, come on, cut me some slack here. Like, you think if I used that program, I would not have like already been
I'm
an
not
F?
I'm not this Machiavellian. I'm not sitting there going, I will fail it on purpose so when the rest of the class gets caught and fails, my honesty will allow me to pass. There you go.
Yeah, it's like also, come on, I'm not so stupid that I would fail even if I had access to all of these. Come on.
Yeah, because this is an interesting conversation because I'm thinking about like when was the point? There had to be a point where I realized I wasn't a smart kid. Because there's a point like in middle school where like I started like doing bad in some classes, but I didn't care. Like I was like, nah, that doesn't matter. Or I still thought like, no, I'm still really smart. I just, like I just didn't care. Like I remember like I did really bad. We had like a home ec style class called like teen living, and I was like D plus C minus in that class. It was bad when they were doing like sewing and cooking, and like I'm like this was not working. Like I'm trying to think because when was the point?
I mean, that makes sense. So like elementary school, as long as you're as long as you don't have discipline problems, it's not terribly hard to keep that level, to keep that higher level.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like,
saying. Like regular. You're hitting mostly A's, maybe a B, but mostly A's. Basically, if you turn in all your homework, you're gonna get an A. That's kind of like
uh-huh.
how like I remember it from the both sides of the desk. Like if you do everything, you're gonna get an A.
Yep. And then so then it makes sense as you're going into middle school, Kevin, denial is setting in.
That yeah, where I'm like, okay, nah, it's still fine. Like
So that means you still have the 4 other stages to go until you get to acceptance, Kevin. So you want to walk us through your scholarly
yeah.
career
So
to
like,
where you.
I think band was one of the key points because band and all musical instruments did require that like practice at home, which I would refuse to do because
The
I
viola does not.
because I was like, no, I hate. Like school is done at school. When I'm at home, it's time to watch cartoons and play video games. Like this is not school time.
Mm-hmm.
School time is for
Mm-hmm.
school. I'm not gonna do homework at home. I'll do it on the bus because I had to ride the bus, and that's when I would do homework because I had like a 15-20 minute bus ride. I'm like, I'll do that. I'll do it before class. But no, I am not going to practice or do things at home because there's a point. But like I was still doing all the assignments like in middle school. Like
Yeah.
I can vividly remember doing them. There were a couple B's would show up, but I would be like, "Eh, that's just an essay. They graded it wrong." Yeah, or like, "Eh, it was subjective. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm still a smart kid. It's okay." And then, but then, like, because I remember like I didn't take honors classes, which meant I was either I had to hit either acceptance or I was like, nah, I don't need to do honors. I don't remember when that happened because at some point I was like, no, we're not doing honors classes. We're actually gonna take like the lowest I could do so I could just cruise. I don't remember when
See,
that happened.
so let me accepting for like science and math, since we were in the same school system, I could tell you the
Yeah.
incorrect logic that you could not have known. Once you start like do some honor classes, you start to realize there's not nearly as much like homework slash busy work in this class as non-honors courses. So then you just like that's why I did honor courses because there was less work.
Well, I did. I was because it was like for some reason I always did honors English. Like I did honors English and literature classes because I liked them better. Because it was just reading books and talking about it, and I would like doing that, and I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like with math, for some reason, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're going like math and science. I went like basic. Like I remember I had like a basic like science class that I like cruised through. I was like, I spent
Yeah.
most of that time drawing comics in my notebook.
Yeah.
I was like, this is good. But art, I did not do good at either. Like, I was like a B student in art.
Because art also takes a lot of time and work.
Well, art is one of those things where like I can draw a comic, I can draw a cartoon, I can draw for what I need to do, but to be like a real artist, I can't do that very well.
It's just real art just takes so much time.
Yeah, and you gotta actually like doing it, and I didn't like doing it.
Like I just there are panels that I look like, especially like Berserk. There's a panel where he's just laying. It's a 2-page spread of him just laying in a field of grass, and I just look at all the lines of grass, and I'm like, motherfucker, you had to sketch that out and then draw it out and then ink it out. No, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
do not want to do that.
No, I'm just gonna copy paste and then draw a dumb comic and then make a joke. That's what I like. That's what I like to do. It's my ninja
Yep.
way. Man. Yeah, because there's
Yeah, for me it was I hit 8th grade algebra, which was like the honors math class for 8th grade.
mhm.
And at first it was okay, and then as it kept going, like, oh, it was less and less okay. And then so good news for me is orchestra meant I had to retake like that class basically again in 9th grade because there wasn't like the only time it was offered otherwise was at the same time as orchestra. So I had to pick one or the other. I'm like, well, I'm not giving up the cruise control that is orchestra. So we'll just do this math again. It'll look like I just had to do it. I won't suffer any injury to my pride on retaking the class. I did much better in 9th grade at it. In 10th grade, I took geometry honors because I was like, I aced that, so clearly 8th grade was a freak accident. Geometry, I think, is the only higher level math I'm good at because it's just video game riddles.
Well, it's shapes and the shapes have rules.
Yep.
Like the Pythagorean theorem always works. Once you know it,
It's
you
not
just
like
plug it in.
abstract. It's not abstract concepts and their rules.
You don't have to prove it. It works. It works every time.
So
Figure it
now
out.
I'm riding this. Now I'm riding this high of like I beat my demon. I'm good in this honors math. Algebra 2 honors.
Uh-oh.
Oh fuck! Algebra 2 honors.
Oh no.
Probably did not help that I just copied someone's homework every day before class started.
Yeah, oh man. I think
That's the real thing.
that happened to me in physics when I tried to take physics where like I would like I think that was when I okay, so I think the transition point I'm thinking about might have been when I quit band because like a bunch of honors people and stuff were in band, and that was like my from my middle school like friend group. And then at some point, like, because I hated band and I hated practicing, so I quit it, which meant that I had to now take different classes, and I was in a new group. And I think that's when like I accepted at some point my human frailties. I think that was it.
You saw your limitations.
Yeah, like the band was the limitation. Having to do marching band and hate it, and then being like last chair. Yeah, I think it was because I was last chair in band, like of trumpet. I was I was like the worst, and I'm
Yep.
like, and being the worst is like, uh-oh.
And it's the worst thing in the world because it's like just practice. It's like I don't want to practice.
I hate
but
this.
I don't want to be last, but I don't want to practice.
And it's really hard. Like that's also one of the things. Like I know it's like the gifted kid meme, but man, being bad at something and then like like the struggle of being the worst, but then hating practicing is like such a downfall of like a combo where I'm like I hate and I'm embarrassed I'm the worst trumpet, and then when I get home I'm never going to play trumpet. So it's only going to make me worse. I remember there was like some test you had to do in band where you had to like play a certain amount of scales, and I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do all the scales. Like,
Dog, I feel so bad. You should have been in orchestra because that's what you wanted. We never had finals. I think the whole time I was in there, we had a finals once, and I had the impression like the school had gotten on to her about it.
Dude,
but even then, it was like, okay, trade papers and now grade each other's papers. So of course, me and my buddy are like, "Good job, you got 100." Well, thanks.
Okay, so like in band, okay, this is a triggering memory. So what we would have to do is there'd be a time the band finals, like what would happen is they'd give you like scales and a piece of music, and you'd have to go into like an empty room, right? They had rooms to like just play with. You have to sit there with one of like the band director or assistant band director, and he'd pull out like a thing and say, "Play the song," and I would struggle through it, and they'd look at me and be like, they would shake his head. I still got like a B minus because I did marching band.
Okay, so for like a trumpet, I would assume, and I'm probably wrong, but I would assume like whatever I'm just saying, but the open note, no buttons pushed is like A, and then you push the first one a little bit and that's B, and then you push it all the way and that's C.
So
and so on.
So there's like three valves, and every valve is like a note, like in combination. So you have like 9 combinations. But then there's like ones above it where you have to blow and vibrate your lips higher to hit like higher notes. So like an F sharp or whatever, you got to blow real hard and loud to hit that thing. And I never really could do that. It's one of those things like I can't roll my R's at all. It was just like my mouth would not allow me to do it, to like hit the high notes.
Yeah.
And like, because I used to be able to kind of read music, or at least fake it enough. Like, I was one of those kids where I would play like roughly 60% of a song, because like I'm like, all right, I know like the A B C. Oh, there's some crap. I'm just gonna press buttons and be quiet, and then I'm gonna go back and hope that because there's enough people in the band that like I could hide.
Yeah, you can hide. Yeah,
But
that's the strength of group of musicians.
But this, because the band, they were serious in the band. They would go
Yep.
like, all right, trumpets, trumpet one, play all notes lines 1 through 3, and then they would go trumpet two, trumpet three, trumpet four, and then me, and I would just fail horribly, and they go, okay, we know what the problem is. And I was like, oh man.
And, like, it sucks because you're like, you're getting to me. Can we just start with me so I don't have to bear this horrid, like, gut-wrenching agony as I'm like, yep, wow, they all played it right. Oh, wow, nope, still right, huh?
Oh god, I
my
hope.
stand partner.
Like, oh man, I'm having all these like memories of sitting there in dread, hoping that they tell me a part of the song I could actually do, which happened a couple times, and I'm like, oh thank God, oh thank God, I could do this little bit.
So, stringed instruments have their own problems. And, like, it's more of an issue as you get to higher levels. But, like, playing in tune is the hard part for a stringed instrument. Because, like, it's not just like, oh, you push down the button and then you blew and it played the right note. It is like, no, you have to find the right place on the string for the correct note.
I don't like that.
Well, but the beauty is, like, it just goes in order, though. You start open, and then you go 1, 2, 3, and then open, and 1, 2, 3, and open, and, like, so it's very easy to read the music. Reading the music is not hard at all. And, like, your muscle memory will get you close enough to those notes, but you still gotta practice.
I remember I did like violin as a child, and it did not last for very long. It it was one of those where like there was like a month of violin lessons and then no more. That did not stick around.
And, like, it's unfortunate, because now I look back and I realize the other violas probably were having private lessons.
Oh, definitely.
Like,
Oh, there's like the real people there.
and it's not even like the real people. It's just like, their parents are just like, oh yeah, we'll just put you in like lessons for it. It's fine. My parents didn't know. My dad didn't know to just sign me up for lessons. That's the secret to practicing. It's like, no, you just put them in lessons.
Yeah, then you force the practicing until they get a level of you have a personal trainer there to get you to a level of competency, and then you can just do it on your own.
Yeah.
Or you'll hate it and never do it again.
I can't vibrato. I played viola for 6 years. I can't vibrato at all.
Man, see, if I was
Played is probably a strong word.
So like if I was actually smart and we could do like the reverse isekai thing, I would immediately go into drama, because apparently that's what I was either like. I had so much fun in drama. Like I loved drama because it was so easy, because of my own personality and like not lack of shame, but just like introverted extrovertedness. Like I can fake it really well. I've like one of my strong points is like public speaking does not scare me, and it has never scared me. Like a lot of people are afraid of it. I'm like, no, I don't care.
It bothers me right until I start doing it, and then it's like, oh yeah, this is nothing.
Oh, I have no fear of like public like speaking or embarrassment if I'm in like a production or doing something, but I'm terrified if I'm just walking down the street and someone points and laughs at me. Like that's terrifying. But like I would do that, and then I would learn to play a harmonica. That's always been one of my things. I'm like, oh man, I'd be cool. You just whip out that harmonica, you play it. You'd win so many of those stupid like drama things if you could like work in a harmonica at some point into your little player monologue. You'd like instant win. You'd sweep. You get in there and you talk about something like some old Wild West poem, and then you end with a little harmonica, little ditty, like a little like couple 3 notes, and then you talk at the end of it. Oh, you'd sweep you'd be like you'd crush it. You would crush everything, and you'd be like, haha, I've introduced... you'd probably get musical instruments banned. because people would then start trying to do it, and then everyone would be like playing horrible instruments. That's my plan.
That's it, man.
Yeah. I still don't want to do a reverse isekai. I think that's not a good idea.
The hardest thing to me about the like, if you're somehow transplanting your current consciousness into your younger body, is like, how do I make sure I don't fuck up and be too smart as a child to cause worse problems for me?
Well, yeah, like I've always considered like do you? Because to me, like being transported with your current knowledge, I think would be hellish. But I would almost prefer like stuff removed, if that makes sense. Or like there's almost like a guide.
You don't want to be like, I need to invest in Microsoft.
Yeah, like
no, just left.
Or just stuff where it's like I'm still doing my childhood career, but then there's like this alternate timeline that can say like, you might not want to do that one. Or I mean, you just an advice of like, I mean, you could go into band in 6th grade, but I mean, I don't know. You might.
Are you gonna practice?
Are you really gonna practice? There's points you could have bailed earlier and it would have been fine. Like, listen, I know all your friends are going into band, so that's fine, but you might want to bail at some point.
Like, I just want to be able to go back in time, pull a chair up, flip it around backwards, and have a conversation with me at critical points throughout my life.
That's what I'm going for. There are decision makers where, like, the older me could go like, all right, here's a moment. Here's the thing. Or just like advice that would work. It's like, hey, you know what? You should probably go for a walk 30 minutes every day. Trust me. I know it seems bad. It'll work out.
Save yourself so much time in college.
You will say, oh, Lord. Just that, like, hey, don't do it. I know what you're thinking. Don't do it. That one you should do. You got to do that one. You need to learn. I know you. You're not going to believe me, even though I'm you. You gotta learn. You gotta make that mistake. Speaking of mistakes, there might be a new Beyblade release next year. I'm kind of excited. I feel like I'm going, like, I honestly feel like I'm having like a weird midlife crisis. But it's like, it's not in terms of like a nightmare. It's like, I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it be really cool to have Beyblades?
Again.
And I'm like, but like the rational, it's like, who would you even play Beyblades with? It's like, that doesn't matter. That's not what a midlife crisis is about. It's about getting the Beyblade. Letting it rip. I don't know.
Beyblades are like, yeah, I think that's a good end and place.
That's a good one to end it. Let it rip.
If you're looking for more Berserk talk, tune in next week. I'm sure we'll
make a weekly segment. It'll be the Berserk check-in.
Yep.
And you'll probably have way more. You and Nolan will be able to talk about way more because I like forgot a lot of it. There's only like some parts like I really remember. Like,
sounds like the perfect time to get back in, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm just saying that armor is pretty cool. I'm not gonna say what it does, but it's pretty cool.
If you all listening are curious, you have probably heard Molly the entire time.
Oh, that's just a cat.
Yep, that's just Molly in the background. She's chatty. She has thoughts on Berserk.
Yeah, that's what happened. Apparently, Bandit the cat, I had to put her up because when I turn on the fan in this room, she gets scared and runs away.
Oh,
she's a very timid and afraid cat.
Oh, poor girl.
Like, whenever she hears a car outside, she gets scared. And when the power man came to like fix the power and internet, she got really scared and hid in her box because she has like a box that she likes to hide in whenever she gets afraid.
Oh.
Anyway, later days. Bye.
Later days.